Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, viernes el 23 de septiembre. You do have two assignments due for today, both of which we began, and many of you finished in last class, the dice roll game for stem changing verbs, and then exercise 18 and the fondo cultural on page 30. You can take a look at the daily agenda video from last class for detailed instructions on how to complete those, and also there are videos embedded in Canvas, in the assignments themselves in Canvas, giving you detailed description on each. No homework due for next class. We're going to begin the film Machuca today, and then take a look a little bit at the current history being made in Chile. This is where the film takes place, with regard to constitutional rights and the constitutional rights that were put in jeopardy in and around the time in which this film takes place. Daily objective for today is to learn and discuss important historical, political, entertainment, and artistic figures from throughout Latin America highlighted in this film. Our warm-up question for today: ¿En qué clases puedes comer y beber? Using the stem-changing verb poder, to be able to. This question asking, in what classes can you eat and drink? We'll take a look at that in just a moment. We'll review the two assignments that are due for today, the dice roll game and the Fondo Cultural, exercise 18. And then I'll go ahead and assign to you the film discussion activity. Key concepts for today are the use of stem-changing verbs in the present tense, how these verbs have a stem change in all forms except for the O form. This is what we've been talking about here for the past few classes. And again, your warm-up question: ¿En qué clases puedes comer y beber? So what classes are you able to eat and drink in? Use the yo form of the verb poder to respond to this question by changing the O in the stem to UE. For example, yo puedo comer y beber en la clase de español y arte. So begin with yo puedo comer y beber en la clase de, and then replace español y arte with whatever classes in which you can eat. And then always ask the question of three classmates, and then share in the third person singular, in this case puede, the classes in which they can eat, the three classmates that you speak with. All right, back to the main activity for today is that reflection activity, the discussion centering around the film Machuca. And so we're going to have a discussion on important dates in your life that you'll never forget. The day that we sheltered in place, March 14th of 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, January 6th, 2021, the day of the insurrection in the United States Capitol. Insurrectionists taking over the U.S. Capitol and objecting, trying to overrule the election results, the 2020 presidential election results. Perhaps it's maybe Queen Elizabeth passing just last week, or for me it's 9/11. 2001, the terrorist attack on the Twin Towers in New York City, New York. Well, 9/11 is an important date in Chilean history, and that is the day a military coup was successfully carried out by populist dictator Augusto Pinochet. And this film takes place in that history of the country, and it chronicles the lives of the two main characters in the film, Pedro Machuca and Gonzalo Infante, two young men from very different ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds. They have the same opportunities with regard to their education, but they have very different experiences. And what I'd like you to do is to chronicle or observe those different experiences. What are some examples of how these two young men experience their education differently? Pedro Machuca is an indigenous young man, dark-skinned, and Gonzalo Infante is really the main character of the film, more affluent, rich, light-skinned, red-haired, and because of their looks and their socioeconomic backgrounds, they have very different experiences. So what are 3 examples of how these 2 young men experience their education differently? See if you can find some examples in the film. And then, do you think quality access to education is a human right? Is that something that should be codified in any country's constitution? Does everybody have the right to a high quality education paid for by all? Yes, and why? No, and why not? Why is it important? Why is that not important? Yes, but perhaps you want to say, yeah, but maybe there's some caveats that you would like to propose. So that's really the main part of your discussion in response to this as it relates to the themes in the film. And you're welcome to draw in some of your own experiences, obviously, as a current student. 8 to 10 sentences in English, and this is due upon the conclusion of the film, which we will conclude next class. So that's our agenda for today. Again, no homework for the weekend, just to make sure that those 2 assignments that we started last class, you have indeed completed and finished. And I will see you all en clase, muchachos. Adios.